Hi, Julia. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you again. Thank you for taking the time for this conversation. For those who don't know you yet, please give us a little bit of background, who you are and what you do.
Well, thank you for that, Hi Stein. It's a pleasure to be with you again here in this forum. My name is Julia Anastasiou, for those who don't know me. I have been with the OSM Maritime Group for 12 years now. I'm based in the Cyprus office. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I have two grown children, I have a dog. I mentioned that because I kind of treat her as my third child, but never mind, that's a different story. I was born and raised in Toronto, Canada. My mother's from Malta and my father's from Cyprus, and I've been living in Cyprus since 1993. So I come from a family where many of us are actually in the shipping industry, so it is very much part of my DNA, and hence the passion that I have for the shipping industry to this day.
Thank you so much for that great introduction. And that's a long time within the company. Let's take a look at what you're doing these days. What's your current role and what does that entail?
Right. Well, at present, I am the Deputy Managing Director for Crew Management. Basically, what that entails is that I'm responsible for a certain number of customers and their vessels, and that, of course, also extends to the personnel who are dealing with those vessels within the organization and those that are also on board the vessels. So, basically, having an overview of all the stakeholders that are involved to some extent with those particular customers. And that role extends to having extensive financial knowledge of the customers and their budgets, having the overview of the legal aspects for these customers, and basically having that leadership role in terms of the services that we provide towards these customers and ensuring that their needs and requirements are taken care of no matter what.
Hmm. That sounds like a daunting but exciting task. Must be a lot of fun. One thing that I notice as a thread going through all these conversations I have with OSM people is that the customer is always top of mind. There's always talk about the customer and performing well and having that you know mindset, which is yeah, it's really great to hear. When if you look in the rear view mirror leading up to where you are today, what you're doing today, and the responsibility that you have, how has your day to day, your task, your responsibilities evolved and changed over these years?
That's a very good question because I think we have to look at the past in order to understand where I am today in terms of my role within the organization. So I was initially hired as a crew manager when the Cyprus office opened in late 2008.
Mm.
I was hired basically to start the processes of having a crew department as such, and that was for five initial vessels. So you can say it was very operational. I was very hands-on. It was very much down to the normal day-to-day routine tasks that I was involved with initially. And
Mm.
of course, throughout the years, that progressed. The organization advanced, we expanded, our activity scope also expanded, and that, of course, led to several opportunities. One being the expansion of the Cyprus office, and of course, the expansion of my own role. And today, where I am, that has been a consequence of the years of contribution to the organization.
Wow, that's and to put that into context a little bit, you started out. You said you guys had five vessels. How many are
Yes.
there today?
Well, that's a good question because that number changes quite frequently. And the good
Understood.
thing is that it's always increasing, but we
Yeah.
definitely have in excess of 200 that we're dealing with from Cyprus.
Wow.
So that mainly consists of a number of conventional vessels. And when I say
Mm.
conventional, I mean tankers predominantly, wet vessels, gas carriers as well.
Mm.
And then we do have some dry vessels where we're dealing with the crew management for our in-house technical management. And then,
Yeah.
of course, we are also dealing with offshore management and cruise and passenger. So
Mm.
we have a full array and a complete rainbow, as I'd like to call it, of services that we deliver from Cyprus for our various customers in various segments.
Mm. That must have been a really exciting journey to be part of all that entire growth. And you mentioned, the scope of activities has expanded, the services, the number of clients, everything. How would you say the company has evolved in your eyes, from your perspective, during this period?
Well, I mean, obviously a lot has changed in the 12 years that I have been here. And from my point of view, what I have noticed, which is quite predominant, is the fact that we as an organization have always tried to keep up with the times. So
Mm,
we haven't been stagnant. We haven't been stuck in a rut, so to speak, where that can happen to some organizations where they become so complacent or rather just very comfortable in the role that they lead within the industry, whereas we have always strived to succeed and to thrive in our role as service providers.
mm,
So we have started as a very conservative organization and we have expanded into different segments, into niche markets. We have opened up branches elsewhere. We have main offices where we carry out crew management and technical management. And we've also, as I mentioned earlier, basically expanded on our portfolio of products and services that we deliver to our customers. And I think one of the most noteworthy changes is the fact that we have become completely versatile, meaning that we pride ourselves on not being in the position to just offer a one size fits all service. And that I think is what perhaps differentiates us from our competitors. We do have the ability within the means of our infrastructure to develop products and services that are customized specifically and tailor made for the needs and requirements of our customers. And that really is one of the largest changes that I have seen over the years. We have gone to becoming very good at what we do to becoming extremely good at what we do and tapping into the right markets when we
mm.
need to as well.
Yeah, that's yeah, very conclusive answer, and thanks for providing so much detail around it. Um, I think if we look at a previous generation, it was more typical for them to stay, sometimes an entire career within one company. Our generation, not as much so. People change jobs more often. So depending on who you ask, some might say that being 12 years in a company is a long time. It's very unique. And I guess the question then becomes: do you think that having that team, that culture, and that environment that makes OSM employees want to stay so long and be able to develop, do you think that's a vital part of the success of the company? How do you see that? Ability to keep people on board for a long time, keep them engaged, keep them developing and growing, and then in comparison to the success of OSM Maritime.
Well, definitely, for an organization to maintain their position in the industry as being real and
Mm,
versatile and really up to speed with latest developments and basically human needs at the end of the day, then they need to be on their toes. And that's a very good sign when you see that people that have been with an organization for many years wish to develop their career. Now, of course, if you have people that are stagnant and they're there simply for the wrong reasons, then that's not necessarily a good sign. So you
mm,
need to see development within those people that have been within an organization.
mm,
On the other side, if you look at some of the major global brands that you see, namely, let's take a household brand name like Adidas.
mm,
Adidas is known all over the world. And if you look at their board and their top executives, that consists clearly of people that maintain the company legacy
mm,
and, of course, the newcomers that are bringing in some brilliant ideas. So you have a combination of both, which is, in my mind, a very winning combination. And
mm,
that's actually what we have in OSM. And
mm,
that's the good thing because we value the opinions of those that sustain and maintain the legacy and the culture of the company. And we also respect new ideas and the young people coming in and the newcomers coming in that also bring a fresh twist to what we do. So I
mm,
think in my, in a very positive environment, you will see that there is a healthy blend of the old versus the new.
Yeah. Good balance. That's the key.
Indeed.
Um, okay. Are there any particular, during this whole time, I've asked some quite targeted questions, but are there any things that you would like to bring up in terms of great experiences, events, things that have happened during your time with OSM Maritime that you would like to put some light on?
Well, for me, I think one of the most interesting or one of the greatest experience that I've had is having the privilege to work alongside some of the most professional people in the industry. That is definitely a bonus. If you can go home at the end of a busy day and say, I've really accomplished something today, and I've accomplished it with people who are like-minded, who really, really wish to be led and who are leading with integrity, then that for me is a great experience. It's a wonderful thing to be able to really contribute within an organization that is like-minded and that is willing and wanting to thrive as well.
Mm,
And the environment that we have here is a very it's a very positive one.
mm,
People are happy to come to work. People want to be part of this organization. They want to contribute, and they're also willing to go that extra mile to feel that they are really saying something and doing something that is making a difference. So that I would say is a wonderful experience.
mm,
If I look at something a little more personal in terms of a great event that has happened, I can share one particular one which I'm quite proud of. That happened actually late 2019. I was contacted by the Cyprus Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and they had notified me that I was selected for the Young Entrepreneur in the industry for that award as an industry disruptor and a young entrepreneur in the shipping industry. So that was basically recognition by my peers in the Cyprus shipping cluster
mm.
that I am hopefully doing something right. So that was quite nice, and that was given to me by the Deputy Minister of Shipping as well, the award. So it was a very nice ceremony, and it was broadcasted and what have you. But what I think for me is most important is that the award, it's not because it was me, but I think it gives recognition to women in the industry because I'm also of a age where I'm being recognized for my efforts at a younger age, and it also gives women that motivation that are trying to make a career for themselves in this industry, and give them that extra boost to also say to themselves, I am worthy, I can do this. People are breaking glass ceilings, women are breaking glass ceilings. Let me follow in their footsteps and then be even more creative and more ambitious. So for me, that was a very important point that women are being recognized for the efforts they're making in a predominantly male dominated industry.
Mm. Yeah, I that has to be a great source of inspiration for those that are wanting to make a name for themselves in the maritime industry and want to get into it, to have role models and to see that it's possible, right? That's you need that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And congratulations so much on your award. It must feel good to be recognized for all the hard work that you've put in, and from your industry peers in particular, because they will definitely know what they're talking about, right? So it sounds like a prestigious achievement. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. But just a note on that one. I mean, I wouldn't have been made possible if I didn't have the team there.
Mm,
And my team, they're absolutely everything to me. I'm nothing without my team. So yes, I do try to lead them to a certain point. But of course, it's about empowering them to make the right decisions and to provide a service to our customers, which is then recognized in the industry. So
mm,
it's very much down to my team making me who I am today.
mm. Wise words, wise words. When it comes to the industry, I mean, you mentioned it there. It's been a very male-dominated industry, but you're seeing more women moving into it. Yourself is a perfect example of that. How do you think the sector, the industry has changed over the years with respect to more women coming on board? How has that evolution been from your perspective?
I think it definitely is something that we're seeing from a more positive point of view. We are seeing big names in the industry. For example, if you look at the managing director of Intertanko, that's Katerina Stanzel. If
Mm,
you look at some of these, the ship owners that we see, for example, Angeliki Franco, who is the chairwoman and CEO of Navios Maritime Holding. And then if you look at the international president of Wista,
mm,
who's a friend of mine, also making shockwaves in our industry. Vespina is not only the president of Wista International, but she's also CEO of Tototeo Group, based in Cyprus. So these are women who have proven time and time again that you do not need to be a man in order to make your mark in this industry. And
mm,
it's because of these influential women. They are, by all rights, common day influencers.
mm,
They are actually aiding and assisting women that wish to dabble in this industry to actually enter it full speed ahead,
mm,
and not fear that they perhaps will be competing and never reaching a position because of their gender.
mm,
I think that those times are more or less they've come and they've left. We can leave that in the past because
mm,
we've seen enough examples of how women are succeeding. Even in my own organization, if I look at the percentage of women that we employ on board, that is far above the industry standard.
mm,
We're at 4%. The industry standard is at 1.
mm,
And 2% of those women that are occupying positions on board our vessels are in leadership positions.
mm,
And again, if I can give you a further example, referring specifically to OSM, if you look at the women to men ratio that we have for our shore organization, sorry to say, but guys, you're a bit behind at 49% and women are 51%.
yeah,
And that's not something that we are setting out to do specifically.
mm,
This is just homegrown leaders within the organization. These are basically people that we are recruiting based specifically on experience and merit.
mm,
And one of the really, really great things about OSM is the fact that we are able to tap into diversity.
mm,
And we are an organization that does look at equal rights for all.
mm.
And that is something that we take great pride in, and we like to. Yeah, we like to advertise that from time to time because it's important.
I
I think
agree.
as in this industry, you don't see that much of this.
Mm,
So it's time that organizations such as OSM really stand up for what they believe in and
mm,
allow those who are involved to shine and say, this is really what we stand for, and go full speed ahead with it.
mm. That's very well said. How would you describe the influence, the impact of the women at OSM?
Well, I think we have to take that into different categories. There's a local, how I see this in the local community. I
Yeah.
know that women are influencing on a daily basis, either through forums, either through the Cyprus Shipping Chamber, through local activities and funds and organizations. And I also see that on a more international level,
Mm,
where I do see women within the organization running offices. They're basically leading by example. And there you see a different influence. Because for me, I've always been very much of the opinion it doesn't matter what your gender is. For
mm,
me, it's very important that you are suitable for a position,
mm,
that you are able to handle that position no matter what. I've been asked often enough if I believe in a top down way of structuring an organization. Yes and no. The quota system whereby women automatically need to fill in certain positions within an organization, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But you also need women from the bottom up. You need women who know the organization, who understand the business, who wish to grow and have grown with an organization. So it's important that those few influencers are really making their mark within their organization and within their industry and within OSM. I definitely see that women have created a very positive influence. Um, they say women are at times more emotionally intelligent. Maybe it has to do with mothering. There are various research papers and things to justify why that is. Of course, that's an unconscious bias, right? Or a conscious bias, rather. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And women do have a certain influence, as do men. So, again, going back to your question, how have women influenced the organization? I can say in a positive way. Specifically, how? In a very professional manner as well. So, and that's how I see the organization going forward with women and with various people from various demographics.
It's very interesting to listen to you talking about this, Julia. I can tell that you're very passionate about this. And what? How would you say that it's different today from when you started out that journey within the maritime industry and the changes that you've been a part of and that you've seen all around you? What would you say is the biggest change or the biggest changes or the things that stand out to you as a result of having more women in the industry, and also, as particularly within OSM, rewarding initiative and allowing them to rise through the ranks based on merit, and skills and experience? How has it influenced the organization, or even broader, if you want to look a little bit broader, the industry as a whole?
I think, obviously, as we said, and we've mentioned this before and we'll continuously mention this, times have changed, times are changing. And now we see that equal rights are very much part of every modern society. In fact, we see developing countries as well where equality is very much on the agenda. So I think it's about having the understanding and respect for all people, regardless of gender, regardless of religion, regardless of nationality. And I see that, especially in OSM going forward, that is going to be something that will be very extraordinary for us, because we are very much about that. We are all about people. And that's not something that we have on a business card. That's not something that we would have just on our stationery. That really is about who we are. And for us to go and market that as our motto, as our slogan, then we also need to demonstrate that in practice. And for me, it starts with promoting women in the industry, promoting equal rights, promoting diversity and inclusion. And this is where I see us going forward in the future as well. And that has changed the way we also work with our customers, because they are also very much in tune to that. And I think for us, one of the steps taken as an organization was for us to sign up for the United Nations Global Compact for Sustainability. And there, it very clearly outlines the responsibilities of the members who are involved in that. And for us, we, as I said, continuously need to lead by example. And by doing that, we record on an annual basis all the figures that we have, including equality, including all of the issues that you see today that are really buzzwords, things that you're hearing people talk about all the time. As I mentioned a few of them before: equality, diversity, inclusion. These are the things that we are taking into our organization, and we're developing those from the inside out so that it becomes part of our culture, becomes part of the value streams that we wish to continue from today onwards, and establish a very healthy and strong future for our organization.
I think that's, like you pointed out, it's very easy to print those words on a business card, but living up to it takes a lot of hard work. And thank you for getting so specific too. because you mentioned earlier, the more implicit effect of seeing people such as yourself and other women in leadership positions, and then having other women thinking, oh, it's possible. But what you're actually actively doing in addition to that must have a tremendous impact as well. And I don't know, it leaves me with the perspective of, okay, here's an organization that's come a long way, that's above the industry standard in terms of the number of women that choose to work there. But you're not resting on your laurels at all. You've got plans to keep moving in the right direction, and yeah, it's really inspiring to listen to. Do you have, before we wrap this discussion up, do you have a message for other women out there that are looking at the different types of industries and wondering, what kind of career am I going to choose? Which direction am I going to go? What would you say to them if they're considering the maritime industry?
Yeah, well, I think, some of the words that spring to mind are perseverance, hard work, dedication, and motivation. For me, these are key words simply because no matter what industry you're trying to break into, no matter what type of career you're trying to build for yourself, whether you're a man or a woman, you need to actually have these four qualities. You need to work hard. You need to be motivated. You need to be perseverant, and you need to really, really do what you can to push forward. And I think that would be my advice to anyone, especially women entering this industry. For me, um, being in this industry for a number of years. It's now 24 years that I've been in the shipping industry. I've seen a lot and I continue seeing a great deal. But one thing is definitely for sure, there are a number of women leaders there that have proven time and time again that there is a need for us to continue nurturing the younger generation and to continue leading by example. So I would suggest that any young woman who is also looking at pursuing a career in the shipping industry to start networking, start talking to other women, get involved with the community, get involved with the industry, and understand what it's all about. Once they make that educated choice, that conscious decision to really go full speed ahead, then don't look back. Continue forward and then persevere, and you will definitely reach the goals that you wish to attain.
Well said. Did you say, is your title motivational speaker? Is that what it is? Or
You know what it is? It's part of one of the best modules that I undertook in my MBA was the leadership module. I've had fantastic professors there, and not only that, I also have a lot of inspirational people within the organization. A number of them, they know who they are. I remind them all the time. And this is exactly what we need in our industry. We need to have people that motivate us and that encourage us to be the best version of ourselves. And I'm lucky. I have that around me today.
That's great to hear, Julia. Thank you so much once again for a great conversation. It's a pleasure talking to you, as always. And thank you for sharing all your insights and your experiences with everybody that's tuning in.
Likewise, thank you very much for the opportunity. And I'm always free if anyone wishes to contact me personally to get in touch with me. You can find my details through OSM, through the website as well. So, I'm open to having a chat with anyone who wishes to.
There you go. If you're looking into the maritime industry, reach out to Julia, see what it's all about. Thanks once again, and have a lovely day.
Thank you. Likewise. All the best.
All the best.